You know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog.
I'm Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog. You know, when I get the hankering for a hot dog, I go to Cleveland, Texas. Just a couple blocks off the square, they got Loafing Dog. They got the Neely Dog, the Mary Sunshine Dog, the Casey Dog, and the Shirley Dog. Why, they even got the Pacer Dog, the Brooklyn Dog, and the Jim Dog. Can't forget the Shane Dog, or the Joy Dog, and the Monty Dog. I like that fool. The Nakia Dog and the Braxton Dog round things off. Why, they even got a kids menu too.
Loafing Dog, 208 East Chambers Street, Cleveland, Texas. Lunch, catering, or takeout, plus outdoor seating. Phone number is 817-556-1040.
This is Wilford Brimley. And don't forget, Loafing Dog won't give you diabetes.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give him a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very special No Judgment here. I am your host, Tish Ross. I wish you could all see the room. It is filled with people who have blessed so many by sharing their very personal yet powerful testimonies and journeys in their lives. I'm honored to have met each and every one of you and to now call you my friend. I want to thank every single person who has ever been on my show and are not here tonight. I'm grateful. In honor of Thanksgiving, I wanted to have some of my most asked about guests to come back this evening and share with us where they are in life now since they were first on the show, and to also share personally what they are most grateful for this year. Things happen in our lives unexpectedly, tragically, horribly, that I can promise you from a personal relationship with the Lord and personal hardship and life experiences myself, that God will never leave you or forsake you. That is a promise. That's not my promise, it's His promise. But first, I'd like to recognize the reason that I'm on the radio now for 3 years, and that is because of God first and foremost, and Tiffany Hurd. She is the owner of JoCo Community Radio. Tiffany offered me to bring my podcast to JoCo, and while I wasn't certain right away, I later said yes. Tiffany, I will be forever grateful to you for blessing me with this opportunity, one that I never saw coming, but God and you did. And I thank you so much for that. Tiffany, tell me what you are most grateful for this year. But prior to that, explain a little bit about what made you decide the very day I was on for an interview to ask me to come on.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. I'm just testing to make sure that I've got everything plugged in all the right places, because that was a learning. That's a song too, right? Yeah. But that was a learning experience in itself. But the first time you were on, and it was Lisa Key's show, wasn't it?
Yes.
That you were a guest on?
Yes.
And which was also an interesting story when she said yes too, because I literally was sitting, it's when we were in our previous location next to the brewery, and I saw her walking by in the window, and it was like God lifted me up out of the seat, and I was in the middle of a conversation with someone, and I was like, I'll be right back. I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just went out, and I was like, you need to stop. I need you to come on the radio. You belong talking on the radio. And oops, I'm sorry. I'm the unmuted one. So when that happened, you just have to listen to the voice of God when He's talking to you. And when you came on as Lisa's guest, and I was listening to the show, and I was like, she's a natural. I was like, she has such a natural gift. And it wasn't just the way you speak to people is so considerate, it's intentional, and it's heartfelt. Like, I've never heard anything come out of your mouth that you didn't mean and that wasn't truly from your heart. And so all I saw and heard was God purpose in you. And I was like, she needs to be doing this all the time, not just as a guest. And so I think I actually said it to Lisa first. And then we talked about the podcast. And I was like, well, consider coming this way. But everything that I've done with this radio station since Pam Masters passed away has been with God purpose. And it has been with God intention. And I tried to run away when I took it over. Right. I really did. I had the technology was different, and the engineer that was engineering was her son, and he was heartbroken. So he was gone, and I was just kind of by myself. And so I tried to leave, and God said, no. He's like, you have purpose. And then every person that I met along the way that I felt drawn to, that belonged to have a voice and needed to have a voice to reach other people, I mean, everything was spirit-led. And so it was spirit-led when I met you.
So it was, I can remember coming on as a guest for Paul and Lisa Keys on the way. And it was during a commercial break. I remember when I was sharing about mine and Mike's loss of Ben. And it was during a commercial break, and you said, okay, you need to come onto the radio. And I'm like, I was just kind of taken aback, I guess. And then Lisa Key said, well, I wanted to see if she wanted to come on and co-host with me. And so I did. I co-hosted with Paul and Lisa Keys, who are amazing, and I learned so much from them. And then they had some other pathway to go down. And so they ended their show. And then I decided I wanted to bring my podcast here. And so like I said, it was really God, you and God partnering together, because I never imagined that I would be sitting in this seat ever.
You know,
so thank you.
When I look back, and I'm very grateful to God for making me do this, because I've met the most amazing people who became very integral in my life, and you're one of them. At periods of time that I really needed you, and I really needed these other people too. And so because I almost lost my daughter and other things too. But my lesson in all of that is to say yes. And you said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at all the people that you've touched along the way and the messages that you got from some of those first shows. Do you remember them?
Yes.
And the messages that I was getting about your show and pulling up, that's what this is about. And so we're not a Christian radio station, but we are a faith, we are a Jesus loving based radio station. So it just means that not every show is, a faith-based show, but we're here, and it's the heart behind everything that we do.
Absolutely.
And it's the heart behind everything that I do. I do it with good intention and with God purpose. And sometimes I make mistakes, and all we can do is move forward and correct them. But I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful for all the people who have said yes to come on the show.
Yes.
And this is only some of who have come on. And you've had so many guests that have blessed so many people and have blessed you, and they blessed me. And I know I've seen you cry, and I've cried, and I'm like, out there listening. And I'm like, this is so great. And so I'm just so grateful for all that. I'm grateful for the hosts that have come and gone. And because each one of them had purpose, whether it was for a period of time. Right. We're always right where we're supposed to be.
Right.
And, look at Christy. She's in North Richland Hills, and now instead of here, but she still does the sleeping bags. And I want people to know that when she does talk about it, that you can come and drop. They can always drop sleeping bags off here, and I will get them to Christy. But
thank you.
You're always right where you're supposed to be. And I'm thankful for new friends too, who have opened my eyes to new things. I'm grateful to new friends that I can be a motivator to, or just someone to care and love for them. And I mean, isn't that what it's all about?
Absolutely.
So, and I'm grateful to my family for supporting me in this, because it can be very frustrating and challenging when you start a new role or a new job or anything like that. So I'm just, what isn't there to be thankful for? Because even in our scariest moments in life, something comes from that.
Absolutely.
And personal growth, being one of them, which was, you've watched me, I think, go through it. So, you've really watched me. And so I just love you for it.
I love you too.
Thank
you so much.
I'm not just grateful for you. I love you. I just love you so
you.
much. So thanks for making me cry. It's really not your fault. I was already in this mode today, but I appreciate you so much.
Well, I appreciate you. And I thank you so much for all that you do, not just for me, but for so many. There are so many shows that JoCo sponsors, and there's so many radio show hosts that get to do. And like you said, whatever we do, whether it's a Christian-based show or not, there's purpose behind it. And so if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here. So we are grateful to you. I'm grateful to you, and I love you so much.
I love you too. You're welcome. And thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for all being here too. And
Absolutely.
and now I get to leave.
Yes.
All right. Enjoy.
All right. So again, I'm just so grateful to Tiffany and to JoCo Community Radio for allowing me to really do my thing, because before I even decided to come onto the radio, or was offered to come onto the radio, I had my podcast, and I was so used to doing things my way. And when I came on, Tiffany said, you can still do that. You can still do things your way. And so I was just super grateful for that. But now we're going to dive into some of the meat of my past guest. And again, not all of my guests are here. Obviously, the room is not big enough. The building is not big enough to have every single person that has been on my show in the past on today. But a lot of you guys that are here, and then there are some that I'll speak for, are a lot of the most asked about during your time on the radio. You guys were asked and talked about a lot. Not that any of the other guests were not, but in terms of me trying to choose and select and pick, there are so many, and I hope to have another one of these soon with the rest or some of my other guests. But you guys were a lot of the people that people asked about. So I'm going to move on to my friends now. Corey Wilkerson is here, and he was on the show to discuss his mission and his passion to help the homeless. He spoke about the ministry that he started called Socks That Rock, and he has recently taken on another mission. Corey, tell us a little bit about Socks That Rock and then what you're currently up to.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I started Socks That Rock back in March of this year. My general idea, basically, one of the most asked for things in homeless shelters are going to be a pair of socks. Obviously, you're out on your feet all day in the streets, and you don't want to walk around bad socks, wet socks, stuff like that. So I started thinking about how I could get those to some people in need, and but I wanted to do more than just that. So I decided I was brainstorming one day, and I just decided to take these socks and basically make little packages, like little care packages with personal hygiene things, snacks, stuff like that. And I kind of just started handing them out at street corners and stuff like that. And then I started thinking, how can I get a little bit bigger than that? And so I reached out to some of the shelters, and I actually got a hold of the Presbyterian Night Shelter. And I was questioning if we could maybe do a little event down there to reach more people, because I was reaching, 5 to 7 people a week probably, but it was still helping some people out, but it just didn't seem like I was doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a one-man show, and once I started pushing for this project to do the night shelter event, the donations just started flooding in, and it was overwhelming. It was great. It was a blessing. Very grateful for it. But like I said, it was a one-man show. My girlfriend Doris helped me where she could. Buddy Nate supported me the best that he could. Anyways, long story short, we had a goal of coming up with 250 pairs of socks with, all the different personal hygiene things in the socks, snacks and stuff like that. And it came time in the end of July, we were able to go out to the night shelter, set up a table inside their little kind of, recreation area, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy Nate Adamson from church, my girlfriend Doris came out with me. So it was us three, and we were handing those out with the cooling towels and stuff like that. The cooling towels were a hit. I mean, they all wanted the cooling towels, and they were so just grateful and thankful. Everybody was just super nice, and I wish we could do even more than that, but obviously we'll get there. Ultimate goal for that still is to turn that into a full nonprofit. It does take more people and more money, which is still my ultimate goal for that. And I'm still pushing towards that. And I will ultimately meet that. I was hoping to be there by the end of this year, but it looks like it's going to be sometime next year, but I'll get there with God's support and help, and some other people that I'll be bringing in to help with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going
and
well.
You have a Facebook page that people can still go to if they're on Facebook.
Yeah.
It is called Socks That Rock,
Mm-hmm.
and people can make donations there. Is your information on there where they can make a donation?
Yeah, if you go under the info or about us, all the donation different ways you can donate should be on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so what are you up to these days now?
Well, I wanted to kind of take a step back from the Socks That Rock going into winter, because obviously it's the holidays and Christmas time. And so I was thinking, how can I help out some kiddos? I have a son that just turned 9 in October, and he actually helped me on the Socks That Rock project as well, putting some of those things together. And he's actually turning into a little humanitarian himself, which is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I was like, how can we help some kids out? And so I was thinking of the Women's and Children's Center. And so I reached out again to the same people that got me in contact with the night shelter. And I was like, we'd like to get some gifts for some kids, come down there, either hand them out or give them to y'all, whatever we need to do. How can we help? And I got an email back. She said, that's great. We love the idea. But she's like, all the little kids, they're basically taken care of because everybody wants to get the little kids gifts.
Mm-hmm.
They're easy to shop for. They want to give the little kids the gifts. And I understand that. But she said a lot of times the teens get overlooked. They either don't get any gifts at all, or they just don't get age appropriate gifts. I think she told me that one time, like a 13-year-old girl received a Barbie, and she was just very disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of, gave me a different purpose, and I loved the idea, and I just kind of ran with it. So as what we've started doing, there's 21 teens down there in that center right now from the age of, I think it's 11 to 17. I don't have my page with me, but 11 to 17, various ages. I think it's like 12 boys, 9 girls, something like that. So it's kind of hard to individually shop for them because we don't particularly know the kids. So we decided to just do $25 like shopping cards. We're either going to do like Visa, Amazon, Walmart, Target, something like that. And even that's not easy for people to just go out and buy gift cards and mail them to me or me go pick them up, but we're willing to do that. So people have just been sending in different denominations of money. And ultimately, once we hit our goal, I'm going to go out and purchase all these gift cards, get them Christmas cards, put them in there, take them and drop them off probably a week before Christmas or something like that. If we overcome our goal, then I plan on trying to get them. And it's not just me. When I say I, because it's much more than that. But we're gonna try to get them like a little, maybe like a little throw blanket or something to go with their card, just a little something extra if we come up with more. And to be honest, I just started that about a month ago, and I'm already almost at my goal. So I know by the time it gets time to go buy the gift cards, we're gonna overcome that goal. But you can if you want to donate. I believe I have it on my personal page and the Socks That Rocks page. I believe I posted it on there.
Okay.
But I can give you the links, and if you want to put them on the notes at the end of the show.
Yeah, I will do that. So when the show, as soon as the show ends, then I will collect any links that my guests have today, and I'll post them on there, so you can certainly go back and find them. But you can certainly look for Corey Wilkerson on Facebook page, Socks That Rock on Facebook as well. They have their own Facebook page. And Corey, let me ask you, because Corey has to leave. Let me ask you, what are you? Yeah, bummer. What are you most grateful for this year?
It's not just one singular thing. I mean, 2021, 2022, it's been some up and down roller coasters, especially this year. It's been a pretty up and down year, but I've kept the faith, and helping these other people has really helped me through a lot of tough times. So I'm definitely thankful for God putting me down that path and giving me the means and the energy to do it, and the people around me that have helped with that, because I couldn't do it all alone, because it's not about me. That's not the reason why I do it. I'm grateful for my 9-year-old son, Ethan, who's got me through more tough times than he'll ever know. And I'm grateful for, I've got a girlfriend I've had for about 2 years now, or a little bit over 2 years now. And we've just basically fallen in love, and our lives are starting to take shape. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my mom, my family, my friends. Grateful for you guys and y'all's stories, and just glad to be here. And
absolutely,
that's it. Thank you so much for having me. And my girlfriend's gonna smack me for this, for doing my Matthew McConaughey impression, but all right.
That's hysterical. Corey, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for coming back today. I mean, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you came on and you shared your story. I'm grateful for everything that you're doing for the homeless community, for adults as well as children and the youth. So again, I will post links to Corey's page, and you guys are more than welcome to donate there. Paula Wilkerson says you rock.
Wonder who that is.
And I'm not sure who it is, but the name here is DHAUX 19. Okay, she said she's always proud of you, Corey. She loves you forever.
Shouldn't have told them that I was going to be on the show tonight.
You're a celebrity.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank y'all. God bless all y'all.
You too. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving as well.
All right, so I'm going to move to my next guest. Dennis Boyd is here. Dennis, welcome back. You were on the show on June 21st of 2021, and part of the reason why you were on the show is you were sharing that you were imprisoned for 40 years. Can you quickly recap for those who are listening for the first time, why were you there for so long? And then I'll ask you the next question.
I think I shared it before, but I think God puts us in places to get our attention. And a lot of times we feel that, or I felt that I pretty much had things figured out.
Hmm.
And until a complete surrender, uh, you're going to go through because you're going to do it God's way, period.
Yes.
And so actually, I was supposed to be released in 20. And I recall um, just waiting patiently because I thought that I was going to get out. I did not. And I remember when I did get out, I did had a conversation with God.
Mhm.
And it's like, you're my father, so I should be able to ask you anything, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm like, Dad, why you leave me in there 40 years?
Mhm.
And I could see it just as clear as day that a vision of my mother praying. And in her prayer, she was like, Lord, do not let him out of there until he returns home to you.
Mm. Mhm.
And, it hit, that my mother wasn't here when I was released, which brings up a quick subject that uh, we pray. We pray for others. We pray for our kids. We pray for others. And in that prayer, they're being answered. You may not see them in your lifetime. You may not,
Mhm.
but they're going to be answered because we don't know what else is a part of their journey to get them to do the mission that God has them on.
Yes.
And so that's kind of like where I was. And so
Yes. And so tell me, or tell our listeners, when you got out, what was life like? I mean, after being in prison for 40 years, what was life like when you stepped out of there that day?
it was different because when you think that I went in the 70s and I got out in the 2000s,
Wow.
and it's like, whoa. But uh, I think the interesting part of it was to really realize how blessed uh, I was, as well as to look at God's creation, whether it's just the birds, the trees, the grass, which felt so much different than grass in prison.
Mm.
And I don't know why it's just grass. But the thing is, it was like a new environment. I got pleasure out of simply going to the store and interacting with, whether it was the clerk or just speaking to people, and people was just having a conversation.
And there's a lot of things that we take for granted. I mean, we that have not been through, well, not everyone, but a lot of us would normally take for granted if we haven't been through something that might affect us that way or change our lives that way, right? So, like, we could step outside and not look at the sky, or step outside and not even notice a bird, or go to the grocery store and just be in your own mind and, not even saying hello or talk to the employee there. But and I think one of the reasons why I love everyone that comes on and shares their testimonies, you can see the power behind them, and how when you say, and when people share what they share, how there's a little something, at least in my head, that thinks, I need to be a little bit more mindful of the blessings that I have. I'm free. And I'm one of God's children, and I'm blessed to be on this earth. I'm blessed to wake up the next day. I'm blessed to take the breath that I take when I wake up, or to walk outside and see the sky. So you sharing that really makes me feel a little guilty of not doing so sometimes.
Well, I think a lot of it is that as a Christian and as society looks at us, sometimes I think that uh, for the most part, people are always asking for blessings. And you take for granted, as you said, you were blessed when you woke up. Or you're blessed that you're able to see, to be able to walk. These things that you just feel that you're gonna do. But again, tomorrow is not promised.
That's right.
We don't know what may happen as we walk out the door.
Exactly.
But the fact of it is that we have an awesome God.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back. Okay, you guys, we have so much more to talk about and so many more guests. You guys come on back.
At Romika Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logoed designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and would be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
We are back to the second half of the show. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoco.com is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch. And the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more at JocoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep at 844.tex.hail. That's 844-839-4245. Be sure to dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com. So we are back and we are going to continue with Dennis. And I see one of my other guests has just arrived. Super happy that you're here, mister. If you have any questions or comments or any love, go ahead and put them in the comments. We are keeping an eye on them, and I'm happy to ask any questions or share any support that you might have for some of my guests. So Dennis, go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead. You were going to tell us a story.
Really quickly, when I was incarcerated and I was doing the things that we do in prison, just living life as we lived on the streets, just behind bars. However, one of the things that I'm so grateful for is God places people and things in your life for a reason. And, the Bible tells us that not one bird will fall to the ground without the knowledge of God.
Mm.
And that being said, a young man, while I was in prison, a bird fell from his nest, and the young man decided to keep the bird as a pet.
Mm-hmm.
And as most youngsters do, they play with him. And once the bird began to try to fly, the youngster got kind of upset with the bird, clipped his wings, and started to neglect the bird. And eventually, he ended up throwing the bird out into what we call a passive rec yard, which is like a small room, basically for us to go outside and get a little sun.
Mm-hmm.
And another young man was cleaning up out there and ran across the bird and come to the day room and asked if anybody wants a bird. Explains the conditions in which the bird is in. And I have no idea why I said, go get the bird and let me see. I don't have any knowledge of caring for a bird. And so the young man go get him, and he brings him to me. And I've got him in my hand, and I'm looking at it, and this bird is in bad shape. His wings are clipped. One of his eyes was matted shut. And he seemed to look at me with that one good eye, and it seems to say, man, I need you.
Mm-hmm.
And, right then, my heart kind of went out to the bird.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, okay, well, man, I don't know the first thing about no bird. So I took a warm towel, began to clean him up, and fed him some wet noodles, and to begin to try to care for the bird. And man, this bird here, man, once I kind of got him cleaned up after like 3 days, he would sit on my shoulder, and I would go to work, and he was cool. And if I left him in my cell for work, he would chirp and keep everybody up. So I had to start taking him to work. And so that with the bird, and it's like I began to look at my life. And just like the bird, my eyes was matted shut from the goodness of God. My wings were clipped because it kept me from reaching the heights in which God had intended for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I began to, like I said, I looked at the bird, and my life actually resembled the bird.
Mm.
I have been thrown away from society to die as well. Nobody cared, but my interaction with the bird made me look at my life, what I was going through. And I always tell people that, train a child in the way that he should go. When he's older, he won't depart.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, coming from what my mother, my father had embedded in me, it's time for you to get back to where you belong. You've already did everything out here in society. You tried to be good, but when we try to do things, or we try to clean ourselves up to be acceptable to God, that's not what he says. He said, come as you are. And when I began to interact with the bird and to see how our lives went along parallel, okay, just like I was there to care for the bird, God has always been there to care for me.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get on back where I'm supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because God created me. And he didn't create me to go through this.
Right.
He created me. I'm on a mission, to tell a story, to reach people for Christ. And that's what I'm most grateful for,
I love that, Dennis. And I love, and any of these shows that you guys have missed, because Dennis' story of being incarcerated 40 years, and for you to have the outlook on life that you do, the attitude that you have, that only comes from your relationship with the Lord. Because I think if I were who I was a long years ago, I've always prayed and known Christ, but when I was younger, I didn't have a personal relationship with him. If I had been incarcerated for 40 years, I don't know that I would have saw things the way that you see it. Obviously, it's all in God's plan, but I know today that I would, and I can see clearly that God had you, he has you, and will forever have you. And you have such a beautiful testimony and a beautiful outlook on life, especially after being incarcerated for that long. So thank you so much for being here, Dennis.
Can I ask a question, Dennis? What happened to the bird when you got out?
I get asked that all the time. And what actually happens to the bird, it's God's grace with the bird. We was getting ready to do a major shakedown, which means that they go in and they go through all of your stuff, and anything that's considered contraband, they throw away, which means I was going to lose the bird. However, I had been on this unit for so long, and people knew how me and the bird was really close, and I could be a fool when pushed. And, and so the lieutenant, he came to me and he said, well, look, man, you're going through shakedown and you're going to lose the bird. I said, yeah, I know, but we'll deal with that when we deal. He said, well, now look, my wife raises birds.
Oh, wow.
So if you give me the bird, I'll make sure the bird is cared for. So in a roundabout way, not only did God save me, he saved his bird as well.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes, that is. Wow. I'm so glad that you asked that question, Christy.
I have another question. If you don't want to answer this, that's fine. Why did you go to jail?
Why did I? I was involved in robbery murder case. And the circumstances behind it, people, it's like I had friends, this is one of the things about being or keeping good company. Now, we call them friends. That's one asked me to take him to this place so he could pick up a check. I'm sitting in the car, they're in there, and they're running around in there doing what they're doing. And so I'm sitting outside, and eventually I said, well, man, we're going to see what's going on with these people. Well, when I go in, this guy has a sawed-off shotgun to this girl's head. Okay. So I take the gun, and as I'm trying to leave, I run into the manager. He spooked me. I end up pulling the trigger, and a man loses his life like that. So as far as the incarceration part, I was never bitter about being there because I'd done that. And it took me years to forgive these other two guys. But God says, we must forgive and move on. Because my thing is, like I said, I wasn't a good guy then, but you should have at least asked me rather than just put me in something.
Absolutely.
And so that's the lesson that I've learned is that through that, always try to surround yourself with good people. Because
Thank you.
everybody's not going to have you good for you.
Absolutely. That was a good question. Okay, I'm going to move to my next guest, Armando and Dolly Mendoza. They were on March 8th of 2021. Dolly's son, Justin, was killed in a motorcycle accident. And one of the miraculous moments was when, Dolly, you woke up with a sharp pain in your side. And again, if you're listening, I know you're not going to get the whole story, but we're going to recap quickly and share that miraculous moment if you can.
Okay. Yes. So Justin had gone through numerous years of having a restless soul, and I had prayed and prayed repeatedly for God to touch him and for him to hear God's voice, for him to feel God's presence. And after years of praying, I finally had a prayer where I said, God, please give him peace. And as I said that, I felt and I heard God say, you know what that means. And I immediately knew what it meant. I knew what it would take for my son to have peace. And I felt as if I had prayed for my son's death. But at the same time, I know that God knows what's best. And so knowing this, a few days later, I had gone to bed, and well, let me back up. A couple of days before, my son had called and asked me for money. And prior to that, I had told him I had been enabling him, and I finally had cut him off and said no more. And he had called and asked for money. And I jumped up and said, I'm going to give him money. And Armando said, no, don't go. You've done so good. And I said, this is the last time I'm going to see my son. I have to go. And he said, okay. So I went and I told him I loved him, and I gave him money. And it was the next day. It was that night that I had gone to bed, and at 4:27 a.m., I woke up suddenly and I had this horrible pain in my back. And immediately I felt this pain, but then it went away so fast, and I felt this calm come over me. And I took a deep breath and thought, oh, that was really weird. But I went back to sleep. I felt relaxed, went back to bed. Several hours later at work, I had a constable, sheriff, call me and said they needed to come talk to me. And I said, are you calling to tell me that my son has passed away? And he said, I just need to come talk to you. I said, okay. And at that time, Armando and my daughter both worked with me. And I went and told them both. I said, the sheriff is coming to talk to me, and he'll be here in just a little bit. And I know he's coming to tell me that Justin has passed away. And I want y'all to be with me when he comes. So they came, and sure enough, they told me that Justin had had a motorcycle accident at 4:27 a.m. and that he had wrecked and hit a stop sign, and it had hit him in the middle of his back and severed his spine.
So that would happen the same time.
The same exact time.
That you woke up and had that
Yes.
sharp pain and then peace.
Yes. And I know a lot of people don't understand the feelings that I have on it, but I praise God for that moment that I had, because he allowed me to take a breath at the same time my son took his last. And I felt the peace that I know he felt as God took him in his arms. And I know that he now has a peace that he never had on this earth. And God has him now. And he's no longer suffering on this earth.
That is that story is just so beautiful, so amazing. And I can say that from being family, that I can see that Dolly has grown so much in her faith and her walk with Christ, the very peace that surpasses all understanding, where people can't understand it. You own that. You have it. And what a gift. What a gift. So Thank you, Dolly, so much for sharing that with all of us. And again, the full their full stories are on the show that what they were on March 8th of 2021. We're going to move to Dolly's spouse, Armando, who also has a really cool story. I was thinking about it when Dennis was sharing his. But the segment that I titled Armando and Dolly's portion of the show was Life After Death, because I believe that after Justin passed, Dolly gained so much peace. You know, you see and you hear when pastors say, you know, you die into yourself. Dolly has grown so much in her faith, and the life after Justin's passing, while obviously still extremely difficult, again, you can see the peace in a mom's eyes that has lost a son. There's also peace that comes from, like Dennis said, it comes from anything. It can come from people, it can come from animals, it can come from things. And Armando has a cat named Bumble. And Bumble is a lifesaver. And when I say lifesaver, I mean that it literally, in the terms of a relationship with the Lord, it literally saved his life as well. Can you recap Bumble, the cat, and how it sounds funny? I know, but boy, if you were there during the time that this all happened, Armando's my brother, you would understand the magnitude and the profoundness of what happened. Armando, I'm going to let you take it away if you can.
It's tough.
I'm going to kind of start out just a minute. So my daughter and I, during Christmas, we were in Missouri. My daughter and my son and I were in Missouri, and we were gifted a cat for Christmas. And like, yeah, I roll my eyes because I was like, oh my gosh, nobody asked me if we wanted to have a cat. So if you're listening and you get somebody a cat or an animal or a pet of any kind, make sure that they want it and need it. Of course, we love the cat, but because sometimes those animals are given up to shelters, and seriously, if you don't ask, that's what happens to those animals, unfortunately. But that wasn't even for me to decide, because that cat that we brought home had so much more purpose than I ever would have ever thought or dreamt of. So we bring this cat all the way home from Missouri, crying the whole way. It was about a 12-hour drive. And her name was Mama. She came home, and the reason why she was crying and just in so much discomfort and whatnot, she was pregnant. And so we brought her home, and she gave birth to 3 kittens. One passed. Another one, was it 3 or 4?
It was 3.
3 kittens. Okay. So one passed, and then we had the 2 that she was nursing. And not too long before these kittens had arrived, my brother Armando had a cat that he had for so many years, Cody. And Cody had passed, and Armando had vowed that he would never get another cat, because obviously if you have pets or anything like that, pets, and you've cared for them, when they pass, it's very hard. It's a loss. It is a huge loss. But Mama had 2 kittens, and Armando was drawn to one of them, Bumble. And when he looked at it, he was like, I'm going to keep her. I'm going to take her. So he decided that he was going to keep Bumble, and I'm going to let him share.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I was gonna bring up Cody and saying I'll never get another pet ever. It's at least for me personally, it's my heart. It gives everything, and it tore me up. So I was like, never again. I don't want to go through that again. But like you said, Mama had Bumble, and when I saw her, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this cat. There's something about her, So I kept her, and I remember when she was 9 months old, when she was old enough to be, I guess it'd be spayed. I'd set up an appointment at the vet, and I'd taken the day off. And when I called the vet, I was like, "Hey, I'm on my way to bring Bumble," and they were like, "You don't have an appointment." And I said, "Yes, I do." And they're like, "No, you don't." And so I kind of got disgusted with them, and I'm like, "Well, you better make time," because I took off work, and so I'm bringing her, and they called me back and they said, "Hey, we have an opening." So I took her and brought her home, and everything seemed okay. And later that night, she was breathing pretty heavy, and I was like, something just doesn't seem right. So the next day, I woke up and she was breathing really heavy, and I took her back to the vet. Vet said she's coming off anesthesia and still, and I was like, I don't think so, But he said take her home and she'll be okay. Well, later that night, I found her in the corner of, and her tongue was sticking out. She was just breathing so hard, and I told Dolly, I was like, some, I got to get her to the vet. Something's wrong. And we took her to the 24-hour vet, and they took her and they x-rayed her, and her lungs were just full of fluid. She had pneumonia. And so they immediately put her in like an incubator with medicine. I was just kind of trying to get into her lungs, and doctor said, not too good, doesn't look good. And so I went the next day to visit her, and she didn't look good at all. And I was so sad, and it broke my heart. And so the next day, I asked Dolly, "Would you go see Bumble?" I can't. So Dolly did, and I was waiting at the house, and Dolly walked in the door, and so I asked Dolly, I was like, "Well, how did she look?" And Dolly's like, "Oh, not good, not good." And so I knew when I saw Dolly's face, the way it looked, I was like, "It's bad." So I felt responsible because I
You forced them
pushed
to have
her.
that appointment.
Yeah. So I blamed myself. Shouldn't have done that. And I was so upset. And so to kind of go back to where I'm about to get to, we were raised Catholic family, go to church, and we had to go. My dad made us go, and I just knew once I was old enough to get on my own, I didn't want to go back to church. Always believed in God, always prayed to Him every night, but I just didn't feel like I needed to go to church to have a relationship with God. And so with that said, I'm sitting on the couch, and I just lost it. And I know you were there, and Tristan, and I,
It's okay.
I said some really awful things to God. And it was I don't even like to think about what I said. But,
we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Let you catch your breath, and we'll be right back. You guys come on back so we can hear the rest of the story with Armando.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, JOCO Community Radio.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right. Call, because the best prices are not online. With SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, you use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Accelerated Graphics and Signs, 101 East Renfro, Suite C in Burleson, Texas, can handle all of your graphic needs. Need a banner or promotional products for your business? They got you covered. T-shirts and caps for your group. All you need to figure out is if you want them screen printed or embroidered. How about some slick graphics on that hot ride to make you stand out from the crowd? Accelerated Graphics and Signs can handle anything you throw at them. Located at 101 East Renfro Street, Suite C in Burleson, Texas, go in and see them. Call them at 817-991-0523 or reach them on the web at www.acceleratedgraphics.net. They are loud and proud and want to serve you. Accelerated Graphics.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
You're listening to JOCO Community Radio.
You'll never know if you don't ask.
All right, we are back.
Get your nails done, curl your hair, run the extra mile, keep it simple.
Got a little music kind of going on, a little jam going on there. But we are back, and before the commercial break, we were chatting with Armando, and Armando was telling us the story of Bumble, his cat.
Do you like you?
And
You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to.
Thank you. And he was telling us about the story of Bumble, his cat. And when we went, right before we went to our commercial break, you were sharing that you were saying a lot of things to God that obviously you didn't mean, but you were very angry. And you don't even like to think of the things that you said to God.
Yep. I think I used every word in the book towards him. And I said right after I just let him have it. I said, God, if you're true, and you say you can do miracles, then if I have one in my life, I want to use it tonight. And I want to use it for Bumble. And a couple of hours went by, and I got a phone call from the vet, and they said, hey, Bumble passed. So right then, I said, I knew it. I said, God, I knew you'd do that to me, and I prayed and I begged to you, and you didn't deliver, So now I'm really angry, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just want everyone to leave me alone. And my anger towards God was even worse, because I gave you a chance to prove it. And I look back now and I'm telling God, I gave you a chance. So crazy I say that, but
and I'm going to stop you there, because in the midst of Armando being angry, it's also amazing how God gives you the prayers to pray, right? So me and my son and my daughter were in the other bedroom, and we knew that he was angry, and we were just praying, please God, if anything, if you could just, for my brother's sake, for my brother's relationship with you, for my brother's belief, if you could just let this cat live, just please let this cat live. And for me, it wasn't about the cat. For me, it was about my brother and his relationship with the Lord. And so I was praying the prayer, please let the cat live, please let the cat live. And then we found out that it had passed. And then
yep, they called and said she had passed, and they said, do you want to come get her, or do you want to wait till the morning? And I couldn't go up there. I was like, I'll come get her in the morning. And I think I stayed awake pretty much all night, and I finally went to bed. It was around 4 a.m, and I woke up. It was about 5:30 in the morning. I looked at my phone, and there was a message. This is the vet, and I played the voicemail, and so the vet said, you're not going to believe this, but Bumble's alive. I said, what? They said, yeah, we don't know how, but she came back to life. And they said, we checked her lungs. Her lungs are clear of pneumonia. She's eating, drinking, and you can pick her up. And I was like, oh my God. So you drove us to go pick her up. And when I got there, oh my God, the look she gave me. And the vet pulled me aside, and he goes, I just want to tell you something. I've never seen this in my 30 years being a vet. And he goes, I just wanted you to know it wasn't me. And he said, but I will say, if you don't believe in God, I think now's the time you should. So that's my testimony. And I think the greatest thing about this testimony is, you know, whether you believe in God or you don't, you're on the fence, that's fine. But if this helps one person, you know, because my God, this doesn't touch you and prove to you that God is real and God will work miracles. The miracles may not always be what we want them to be,
right,
that we pray for. But God knew for me, this is the way he and I would have a relationship. He knew this is the only way.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what he did for me, blessed me, gave me a testimony, proved who he was. After I told him, you know, like I said, it's crazy. I'm giving God a chance, and all the chances he gives us. So again, I hope this opens up someone's eyes that God is always by your side.
Absolutely.
So
thank you so much, Armando. That's so beautiful. We're going to move to Christy and Penny Woods. Christy was on my podcast in September of 2020, sharing her personal journey of addiction, homelessness, and recovery. She then returned to share a mission to give back to the homeless, and her daughter Penny was right alongside of her. We're going to quickly recap. The first time that you were on the show, Christy, you came on and it's funny because today, before we went on the air, you said you don't even talk about that person that you were. You didn't even know who that person, you're not even that person anymore. But for people that were listening, the very first time that you came on the show, you were sharing, you had also been on my podcast before I even came on the radio, but you were sharing your story of alcoholism, homelessness, abuse, and tell us a little bit about what that homelessness, what that led you to do, what your mission was.
Okay. So I had about a 28-year drinking and drug career. In between drinking and drugs, it all goes hand in hand. You're in abusive relationships, you're in and out of relationships, you're in and out of hotels, and it led me to the I stayed in shelters. I was always lucky when I was homeless. I did have a car, so I could kind of go, where I wanted to go. But it was just such a life of debauchery, and it's just a miserable existence. But where it led me to was I was at a really bad place in 2019, the summer of 2019, when we first met. And I decided through Pathway to go and feed the homeless down at Trueworth. Now, when I went down there that day, it was literally, Trueworth is basically on the same street of where I went to rehab.
And Trueworth is a homeless shelter for those people that don't know.
In downtown Fort Worth, off Lancaster. And I remember when I walked in, I parked like right where I used to park when I'd pull up for rehab. And I thought, wow, I haven't been here in a while, Anyway, I went over and I helped with that. I'd never done that before, it was really cool, being with the church and being with everybody. But I started telling my story and sitting down with a lot of the people that were in the shelter. And I would ask them, is there anything that you could use out here? Is there anything, I kept blankets in my car or whatnot. And they just kept saying sleeping bags. And I remember I was still pretty down and out, and I went home and I was just like crying, like, what is my purpose in life? What am I doing here? I'm 46. I really don't know. You go through so much. And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'm still here, but what am I supposed to be doing? Well, I don't know, probably about 3 a.m, I woke up and I thought, sleeping bags. And I basically went on a mission from that day forward. And my goal at first was 200 sleeping bags, and I was just going to drop them off. I posted about it. A friend of mine, Jessica Davis, who was my partner in crime from the get-go, she helped. We went down there. We dropped off 200 bags. Well, in between that, Deborah Ferguson on Channel 5 got a hold of this story, did a news story on it, and the whole thing exploded. And when I say exploded, I truly believe, because I like to pump my ego, that I pulled off the biggest sleeping bag project in the Fort Worth area. I think in 2 years, 2.5, because Jeff and I delivered those blankets last year and sleeping bags. I believe that Jessica and I were able to get over 1,500 sleeping bags. And I'm pretty sure you can't really count all the Venmos that come in and everybody's getting cash. I want to say, and I'd have to ask Jessica, probably about 4,500 in cash donations.
Wow.
And gift cards. And we personally drive them down off Lancaster Avenue and deliver these sleeping bags hand out. We pull the trucks up and we hand them out. Penny really wanted to do it.
And Penny is your daughter.
Yes. And she really wanted to do it. And I didn't know that much about it the first time. And, but you know, I do CrossFit and I got a lot of big guys that go with me. So I thought, okay, well, on the second trip, she can go. And she was amazing. Amazing. I mean, I just, what a little great human this girl is. You know, she talked.
Absolutely.
I mean, and so we did that drop off, and then we did another drop off 6 months later. And then Jeff and I did a small one last year. I haven't received any sleeping bags this year. I haven't really done a lot with that. I do still take donations. I have a car full of women's clothes I need to take down right now. But this is kind of lit a fire, you getting a hold of me to want to get more sleeping bags.
Now, if somebody wanted to donate to you, obviously, if you are in the Johnson County, Tarrant County area, you can certainly, we've got permission that people can drop off donations or sleeping bags here at Joco Community Radio in Burleson. You're more than welcome to do that. If somebody wanted to give you donations or send you a donation, or how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I am on Facebook. I mean, you know, I did a lot of advertisement for that, you know, and I was with Our Place and you guys. And so there's people know how to get a hold of me. I'm kind of out there, you know, kind of with my story. But I can leave my information with you,
Yes,
and anyone can call me. I mean, listen, we have had some hella donations. I mean, I had a guy send me, he saw my story on the news, got my number from you actually at Pathway, and called me from San Diego, and told me, you know, you just don't see what people look like after they've gone through that journey, you know, the homelessness, the drug abuse, and you just don't look like somebody that had a career. But
well, you know, I mean, you saying that, there are people walking around. I mean, all of us, any of us can be a paycheck away from being homeless. And so I don't think homelessness looks like somebody.
It doesn't.
It looks like us.
It really
looks
doesn't.
like us, right?
Because, and you know, and that guy donated 100 bags. He sent 100 bags to Pathway Church. And I have to, you know, again, say thank you to all the people that have contributed to this. I mean, this is my 3rd year in doing it. And again, I haven't done that much with it this year. My life has taken a completely different turn in the last year and a half. But I am always open to taking donations. I have a huge heart for the homeless. You know, I really do. I think that, you know, there's a lot of judgmental people in the world that just, they don't get it. And, you know, if you just open your eyes and maybe let, you know, taking a clipped bird, you know, taking that bird. Okay. Because guess what? You don't know what that bird has been through.
Right.
And I promise you, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a 28-year drinking and drug career in the mirror. I don't see that today.
I love that. I love that.
God.
I'm going to say really quickly that the address to drop off the donations or sleeping bags is 327 Northwest Renfro Street here in Burleson, Texas. It says, just ring the bell. There is a message here to you, Armando. It says, amazing testimony, Armando. There's a message to Penny. It says, love me some Penny and her mama. This woman does an incredible job with her daughter supplying sleeping bags and more for the homeless. Penny, quickly tell me about when you went with your mom. I know that you were on the show and we heard your whole story, which is amazing, but you had been collecting something aside from sleeping bags. Do you remember what that was?
I can't really remember, but I remember at school I brought a cup, and it had written donations for the homeless. And I remember I announced it to the class, and the first one I got was a Pokemon card by one other kid. And the next day, another kid brought this whole bag of blankets, toys, everything. So after that, everyone just kept bringing in stuff. So I got this big basket, and I filled it up with stuff.
Oh my goodness. That is so amazing. And look at you getting up in front of the class and just, taking on what mom has taught you to get up and speak in front of people and say, hey, this is what we're doing. And we are collecting donations. And you did that. That's a huge part. So what I remember, because it was just so amazing, was that you at Pathway Church here in Burleson, it's a church here in Burleson, that you were standing at the main desk and that you were asking for tents, sleeping bags and tents, and that you were assisting your mom in collecting and receiving those donations. And so at the front counter, you were telling people, hey, we're collecting sleeping bags and tents for the homeless. So if you have any, to bring them to you. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. So what are you up to these days? You wanted to share something that's been kind of going on in your school.
Yeah. So there's this girl, and I just became friends with a new girl, and she got kind of jealous and told her mom, and her mom called the school on me. And her mom wanted to force me to be her friend. And
that's tough.
Yeah. So he started telling people around the school to not be friends with me, that I would just be mean to them. And that rumor spread around really quickly. And some people did believe it, some people didn't believe it.
And so how do you handle that?
I didn't really do anything about it because I didn't really know at first. I didn't really say anything about it until, I got called in to the counselor's office because her mom called the school again. And I remember telling the counselor that all of that's happening. And she told some lies to the counselor. And her mom now is trying to bribe me to be her friend with random stuff.
Wow. That's a lot to sort of handle for, how old are you?
10.
10. That's a lot for a 10-year-old to handle for sure.
Yes.
I hope that it's almost a little bit a form of maybe bullying. Do you think?
So it's not really bullying because I've heard that bullying is an overpower where someone is richer than you and is making fun of that you're more poor, or many people and you're just one. That's bullying. But if one person is going towards you, that's just teasing.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you clearing that up because I had that all wrong. It was all wrong in my mind. So do you think that you will start helping promote for your mom so that she can get some sleeping bags to the homeless and go back down there again and help out and deliver?
Yeah. I'm thinking about doing the same cup thing again this year.
Good idea.
Because that was a big thing. And I remember every day the cup would just fill. And I would bring it home and I would dump it in this big basket. And then I gave that basket to my mom and I told her, and it was mostly just kid stuff. And I told her that I wanted her to bring it to an orphanage. Because at this time I was obsessed with Annie.
Gotcha.
So I gave it to her and she brought it down there. And then I didn't really keep the cup thing continuing because after that I kept it, but no one really gave anything after that. So I'm thinking if really you promote it more, then more people will really bring it in. Because after that, I just kind of kept it in my locker and didn't really talk about it very much. So it just kind of stayed in my locker until the end of the year.
Well, you're right. Maybe if you pull it back out now, you never know what you might get. I'm so proud of you. And I thank you so much for coming back, both of you guys, and for sharing. I appreciate always seeing that beautiful little face of yours, Penny, and all the good that you're doing alongside of your sweet, beautiful mom. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for inviting us.
Of course. All right. I'm going to move over to Greg McBrayer. Greg was first on in November of 2021. Greg's story was absolutely unbelievable. Greg came on to No Judgment here to share the journey that he was on for so many years. And that was, as he was growing up, he was led to believe that he was the product of a rape for many, many years. And so he carried that on his shoulders for years and years till he was in his 20s. And then he found out that it wasn't that there was racism that was involved. The truth came out. And so, Greg, welcome back. I had the pleasure of meeting Greg's dad as well. He came on and shared his side of the story. It was such an amazing few shows that you came on and shared, because it was too much to get in one show. There was a lot of emotion, a lot of questions from people that wanted to know, well, what was it? Was it rape, or was it racism? And in my mind, I'm thinking, how can you even, for me, people, minds are curious and people want to know, but I'm thinking for you as a kid and as a teenager growing up thinking, man, like you said, man, I was the product of a rape and I didn't know what my purpose was here. But it wasn't that. Welcome back.
Oh, it's good to be back. It really is good to be back here with the energy. And I just want to start by thanking you for inviting me in the first place. All the stories that I've heard tonight, I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. You know, it's kind of surreal, you know, being here and hearing that and hearing just like the recap and knowing like, hey, oh yeah, that's me, you know, like,
yeah.
You know, because it is such a thing that I see is a beauty, something that I really appreciate, that has been a part of my life, that has shaped me into the man that I am. And it really has been the catalyst to really deeply loving me and continuously finding, you know, deeper levels of that love, because for so long, you know, you're right. That's exactly how I felt, you know. I was told that I was a product of a rape pretty young, you know, like 7 or 8, you know, under 10. And that stuck with me. So my first thought was, well, like, if I'm from that, then I wasn't planned. You know, it wasn't like, oh, mommy and daddy got together and they planned for a baby. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was like, I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't planning for this, and you were just here, you know. So that's how I took it, you know. Obviously, you know, my mother's choice of keeping me and that kind of thing. I mean, there's all that, you know, went past my head and that kind of thing. But it was like, wait, I don't have a purpose. Like, I'm running around with absolutely no reason. Like, I wasn't planned. So, and I'm literally the black sheep of the family. You know, I have a sister that's 5 years younger than me. You know, I have a stepdad, who I call dad. You know, we were actually very, very close. And then my mom, and all of them were a different color than me. You know, so growing up with this ideology of, well, I'm not here for much. You know, there's no purpose. You're a rape. You're an accident, and you're the odd man out. You know, especially when I started kind of like feel racism from other people, you know, other kids and that kind of thing, and feeling like, hey, you're different, so we're gonna pick you last. But kind of, you know, now kind of seeing and feeling the same energy at home, but being completely oblivious to it. Then to later, jumping into, you know, my adolescent years, and you know, at that point, there's just a lot of anger, a lot of I don't give a, you know, beep 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 kind of thing, you know. It's a good thing you're here, because you're catching me, you know, you're catching me. But you know, high school became let's see how much I can rebel. Let's see how many things I can screw up, because that's what I am, and that's my purpose. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I became really good at it, and really good at finding ways to like hurt myself because I didn't feel like I was worth anything. So that continued, and that ended up in college, which, I mean, I'm glad that I went to college. I was the first person in my family to go to college, in my immediate family. So that was yay. But it was kind of one of those bittersweet because I knew I was going to fuck it up anyways. Sorry. You know, if she's anything like my kids, I mean, they've been through the ringer. Like, but you know, at that point, you know, going to college, it was like, okay, now I have no inhibitions, no things that are holding me back. So I'm gonna like really go with this hole that's inside me, and I can get as much alcohol as I want, and I can have as much sex as I want, and I can do all of these things that can fill these holes within me. I can do all of these things that make me feel something, because I'm really not feeling anything. I'm really like numb, you know. Then like college became, you know, a blur. I had my first son. During that period, and decided, you know, should I go to college and continue doing this, or should I be dad? You know, so I chose dad. But the girl that I you know had my first son with, I mean, she was you know, young herself. I was 17 with a, you know, baby on the way, and she's 15. You know, so I 18 years old, and now I am a dad.
Right.
You know, but you're a product of a rape. You know, that's still at the back of my head. And that's still at the back of my head of like, yeah, you know, you have a kid on the way, and you're going to be a dad, and this is your chance to do something different, but you're still a product of a rape. You know, you're still a an accident.
Fares today and get the best price on your next flight, guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
All right, we are back, and we're going to continue on with Greg. Now, Greg, you became a father, and then when did you find out the truth?
So I found out the truth when I was at 25. So you know, I'd already had all my three boys by that time. You know, so I was a father. You know, sort of. Really,
what was the truth?
So the truth was that my mother and my real father had actually dated. They were actually together. They, you know, it wasn't she was at the wrong place, wrong time. They knew each other very deeply and intimately for months and months and months before, you know, I was conceived. However, after I was conceived and after I was born, my family, my mom's dad, my grandfather, my grandmother, members of my close family, just were didn't like the idea of an interracial, you know, relationship, and the interracial. I mean, I would say that the exact words, but I think that we might get censored for that. But no daughter of mine is going to be known to be in this kind of lifestyle, right? So that was where the explanation of, well, where did he come from? Well, that's how he got here, and we're going to never talk about this, never speak about this again.
So your mom is Caucasian,
Yeah.
and your dad is African American.
Yes.
And there was some the reason for the story of you were conceived via rape was because racism was even in your family. Your grandfather's mind was worse.
Absolutely.
So they prefer that you knew that you were conceived as a rape than.
And I later found out just how deep that racism line goes. After I found out, after actually my biological father reached out over Facebook and found me, because at the time, for about 2 to 3 years, I had been looking for him. I mean, actually, almost like 5 years, 3 years diligently, but I didn't have the right names or anything like that, so I was purposely given wrong information. And he found me through my uncle via Facebook and sent me this really long message, and talked about cancer and talked about wanting to make sure that I got myself checked. And I was like, what the heck? This guy's saying that he's my dad, and he's got cancer, and like what is going on? And he gave me his number at the end. So I'll never forget. I remember I was driving through Granbury, and I called him, and the first thing I said, the very, very first thing I said, he's, hello, why'd you rape my mom? That was the very first thing I said. And I remember his stutter. What? It completely caught him off guard. And he's like, whoa, that is not a, no, is that what you've been told this whole time? And we began to have a conversation, but I mean, at this point, I'm really, really skeptical. I'm like, I don't believe shit you're saying. You're the big scary black guy that I've been taught about all my life. So it was several conversations that we discussed. I asked him the story over and over and over again. I asked him about things that my mom had said versus things that he had said. I was highly skeptical because, again, like, this was the bad guy,
right?
The problem, So as I kept talking to him and I got closer and I started piecing things together, that's when it hit me. It's like, wow. I almost wanted, at that point, I wanted him to be the bad guy.
Because of everything
because the other side was that's like that hurts a lot worse. Because at least if you're the bad guy and I don't know you, then we can just split ways and we're good. But being that this is the truth and you're not the bad guy, that means that they lied to me. So
you went through a lot of healing, a lot of obviously a lot of trauma, and today you are an incredible man who I just absolutely adore and love having on my show. And if you guys have not heard all of Greg's story, it is powerful. I wish that we had time to go through all the details of everybody's story here, because it is just simply unbelievable and amazing. But today, Greg, you are a very confident coach, a cheer coach, gymnastics coach. You are a product of a loving mother and father. You're meant to be here, and you have great purpose.
I really appreciate that, and I want to just tell everybody that that was then, and like you said, now I absolutely love me, and with that, I absolutely adore my mother. I adore my father, both of them. I call them white dad and black dad, just to differentiate. I find that I've been able to really not just deal with it, and not just like, oh yeah, that happened and push it away, but truly, like, I appreciate the hell out of everything that's happened to me. because without any of that, I wouldn't be who I am. And I wouldn't have, I don't feel like I would have the capacity of love, because I wouldn't have had the capacity of the feeling of the capacity of pain that I felt.
Absolutely.
And the depravity and the attempted suicide at one point, you know,
Right.
I feel like all of that low, you know, life has allowed me to feel the opposite.
Yes.
And really truly love, you know, because
Absolutely.
my saying is, I love you and there's not a thing you can do about it. And I mean
Exactly.
it.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for coming back. We're going to move to Tristan, and then I have a couple of tributes. Tristan Young was on my show on October of 2021. He shared his personal struggles with being on his entire life journey without an earthly father, and what some of that led to. The show was called The Fatherless Son. Can you recap quickly, Tristan, of what happened and how you struggled, and if you still struggle today?
Sure. Yeah. So it was like when I was 7 years old, my mom and my dad were getting a divorce. I didn't know why, but throughout the developmental years of my life, I still saw my dad, but it was just like usually on the weekends. And I knew that just because of divorce. I was like, oh, well, and a couple of friends that I grew up in my youth group and things like that, like that's what people did. So I was like, okay, it didn't really affect me in that much because I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes and what my father actually did. So because of my mom's protection and because of a lot of other people's protection in my life, that I just didn't know the grand scheme of things until I was in high school when I looked it up myself. And then my mom told me later and things like that. So, but what unfortunately happened is my dad is a registered sex offender. And then it's now okay to talk about now because the person that it was happened to has given us the okay to talk about it. So unfortunately, it was my cousin Taylor that was so it was within my family, and that I found out recently. I didn't know that before when I was on the show last time. So it affected my family to the point where I don't even know my dad's side of the family. The only one I really know is my grandmother, but I still don't really know her really. So there's a whole dad side of the family. There's a whole white part of me that I don't even know the full heritage of my entire race. Like I don't even know why my beard is red when it grows fully, because I'm Mexican on the other half. I know why my hair is black and all my other things and things like that when it comes to that side of my culture, but I have no idea why I'm able to grow facial hair. No one on my other side of the family doesn't have that. But there's so many parts of me that I don't know as that part of that culture. So it definitely affected it later on in life when, you know, people would always, and I would always have animosity and not be like racist or racial to it, but it would be like, no, I'm Mexican because I just don't know that side of it, I guess. And I was like, and people would, and I would always defend it with that's what I am because I just didn't know that side, and I still don't. So, but
and you said at one point you had shared when you were on that one of the things that you struggled with and still struggle with is that you never had a father teach you how to be a man.
I mean, I think the only thing I learned how to play, which I know how to do today, the only thing I've learned from my dad is to play golf. That's the only thing I know to do. That's the only reason why I'm halfway decent at it is because my dad taught me that. But as far as shaving, as far as dating, as far as anything leadership wise as a father, like as a man, don't know anything from my father. Didn't learn that from him. Learned it from my uncle. I learned it from Mike, and I learned it from my youth pastors. But as good as those people have taught and have continuously led me through when I was younger to when I was older, it's not the same. And it never will be what it's supposed to be, which is from your father, obviously, if you're a man. Never was taught about sex from my father. Thankfully, I'm still a virgin today. That's by God's grace that I'm that. But I've never learned from that. Like my mom could only do the best as she can because she's a woman. She can only tell me from that perspective because obviously that's how I got here. But like didn't learn anything from my dad. So, yeah, it affected me a lot when later on in college, as I developed like mental health issues and things like that. That didn't come from him, but other things that came from him, I relate to you when you talked about like suicidal things, you know, that led to that in a capacity because of that and stuff like that. So just from not knowing how to handle heartbreak from other relationships and how to handle things as a man from when things affect you in life, it led to those things. So I would say that's a big reason why of not having that direction. Like Mike sat me down the other day. Mike's my stepdad. And he sat me down the day and firstly talking about a car and things like that and being responsible with money. And like knowing that was the first time a dad figure has ever done that. Like I learned that at 27, you know, and like I didn't learn that at 13 when you're developing. I didn't learn anything before my prefrontal lobe finished developing. And that was the first thing I've learned as like a father-son thing as my prefrontal lobe has developed. So it's like, it definitely affects you. There's so many learning disabilities that were greater highly affected because I didn't have that teaching point. So like ADHD is worse because of it, or dyslexia is worse because of it, or all those other things that I have that, you know, learning disabilities because of it. But what I can say is that God's grace was through all of the male teachers in my life, through my uncle, through Mike, and through my youth pastors, and through other people, because of the gospel, and because of Christ being a father and being the ultimate father, like you talked about earlier. I'm able to not have any animosity towards my dad. Like I got to have one. I mean, my mom and my sister sat down in Olive Garden one time to come because he got out of prison for breaking parole 1 year. And we had the opportunity to forgive him. And I did, because it's like, for me, thankfully, because of how close the Lord has been in my life, through other people, because I don't know him, it was easy to forgive, for me at least, because I was like, well, there's no relationship, so I don't have any anger. And that's all the Lord, because if it was the other way around, I could have been completely different. I could have rebelled. I could have done all these other things. But I think because I didn't have that, I didn't have any really self-confidence growing up. I know a lot of women usually deal with self-image, but I had a lot of it in the background because of that. So, but yeah, like it's just, if it wasn't for the Lord's grace going out throughout my whole life, I completely would be a different person. I was talking about this the other day. I do live streaming and stuff like that on Twitch, and I was talking about this earlier. And it's funny how the enemy was trying to mess up my Twitch earlier about all of the ways that there was so many technical issues. When I started, it was funny. When I started, it was fine. When I started talking about what was going to happen today and talking about this earlier, my camera didn't work. My microphone was not working really well. It was either muted or it was really low or whatever. But ultimately, because of the Lord's grace and then carrying me through all of that stuff like that, like I was talking about, I would literally be dead. Like we talked about suicidal things. Like I would have committed to do that. You know, I would have, in all the ways of saving me from dead, no trespasses. Like he saves us from that, making us alive in that. I'm literally alive today because of Christ. Like that's the only reason why I'm alive, you know? So through all of that and multiple other things in my life, because of the gospel, that's the only reason why I'm here. And that's the only reason why, and through the men, one in this room and the other room, like, you know, that's the only reason why I'm here. So, but that's what I'm grateful for. That's probably what I'm most thankful for this year and the past couple of years of my life too, as well. But yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming back, and thank you for sharing. And again, if you guys want to hear Tristan's full story, it's amazing. He was on my show in October of 2021. I'm going to quickly move to a guest. Actually, two guests that were here, Brian and Tammy Spradley. They're an amazing couple who came on to the show twice, actually. The first time was to have Brian share his journey with alcohol abuse, and Tammy, his amazing wife, came on to the show the second time to share her side of the journey of being a spouse of an alcoholic. Let me read quickly what they sent. Brian just had back surgery. Brian, I pray that you're healing and that you are free from pain, and that you have a full and speedy recovery. But I'm going to read what both Brian and Tammy so graciously shared. He says, first of all, I'm happy to say I'm just shy of being 6 years and 7 months sober. I took my last drink on April 21st of 2016. He said, woof, my darkest days were the 4 months of hell on earth after my best friend Chip Steele died on January 20th of 2016. That's when I started drinking every day and no one knew it. At first, it was only after work on the way home and then at lunch as well. And I believe by mid-February was when I added on the way to work to the mix. I hated to drink and didn't want to drink, but I could not drink. I stopped at QT on the way to work and bought and drank 2 of those little black boxes of wine, which was 6 glasses of wine, and that was at 7:45 a.m. Ugh. I would have to dry heave before I could drink that wine. I had poured it into a large plastic cup that held it all. In my mind, that's when I really started like an alcoholic. I hate that word because there is such a stigma that goes with it. It was a horrible existence. I never drank at home, and I'm so manipulative, sneaky, and deceitful. That's only a few words that describe me when alcohol is in my body. My darkest time was on April 21st of 2016. My wife was out of town on business, and she was coming back that night. She always calls me before getting on the plane to head home. When she called that day, she could not reach me. I'm not going to go into all the details, like when we were on the air. But she couldn't reach me because I was laid out on the floor of our bedroom. She called someone in my family, and there ended up being an ambulance there. To this day, I have no recollection of anyone being there or riding in an ambulance. The only thing I remember after around 4 p.m. that day was a feeling most likely the Holy Spirit and me saying, "Dude, I need you." You have to understand, I call everyone dude. I call my mom dude. I call my wife dude. I really call everyone dude. All my friends know that I'm going to call them dude. Jesus is my best friend, so I call him dude. Not out of being irreverent, but out of total pure and complete love. Saying, "Dude, I need help," changed my life and the course of my wife's lives forever. You see, that night, the 99 were left, and the one that was rescued was me. When I woke up the next day in detox at Hughley, I felt a calm and a peace I had never felt before, but still feel to this day. I knew something had changed in a big way. I no longer had to drink, and to this day, I have no desire or cravings to do so. And I wish everyone received this amazing miracle, but everyone has their own path and story to tell. Life is not perfect, but it is amazing. I went to a nice 90-day faith-based rehab facility in Azle and basically learned how to live and cope with my life. My 90th day of rehab was my 51st birthday, which was July 26th. 1 month later, I started Tarrant County College Northeast Campus and went through the LCDC Licensed Chemical Dependency Counselor Program over the next 2 years. I'm so blessed to say that he's a substance abuse counselor, and he loves helping others by sharing his story and letting people know that there is life after what they may be going through. When they decide that they are sick and tired of being sick and tired and are ready to surrender 100%. What am I grateful for? Wow, so many things. My intimate relationship with Jesus, my incredible relationship with my beautiful wife, my 4 amazing kids. The list goes on. And I'm very grateful to be able to do what I have a passion for as my career. You can also let people know that they can contact the station or me if they would like his phone number, or if you're struggling with alcohol or drugs. He says that it says feel free to share my number with anyone. Tammy just wanted to add, his wife Tammy wanted to add that she is glad all of this happened and that he went to rehab because she gets the best version of me.
That's awesome.
Brian also says that he said the beauty of his sobriety and that what he is so grateful for is this. And I praise and thank Jesus for it. Even through unexpected neck surgery on July 25th of this year and the incredible back pain I'm dealing with right now, and even after my doctor's office delayed my surgery twice due to their lack of following through with some things. The first time I called was 4 days before surgery, and the second time was this past Friday afternoon. I was supposed to have surgery today. Not once did I ever think about drinking. I wish everyone was freed of any cravings or thoughts or desire like I was. But again, everyone has their own story and journey. In AA, there is a saying that is so true. There's not a problem big enough that a drink won't make bigger. I'll be listening tonight. You are amazing. Okay.
Wow.
I need to, next I want to honor and remember 2 very powerful and strong women that made it their life's mission to bring great awareness of breast and uterine cancer to all. Jennifer Pelletier was on my show June 7th of 2021. I have to tell you that she was so gracious to share her courageous battle with breast cancer with us. She shared some of the realness of the physical and mental health battles, and she warned and encouraged men and women to get mammograms. She asked me to read to her my eulogy about her to her while she was still alive. And when I told her I would, she was ecstatic and she shouted, "Really, you would?" And privately, I did. I shared some of what I would say about her to her. Sadly for us here on Earth, Jennifer's race ended on November 6th of 2022. Jennifer was 49 years old, and I will be attending her funeral tomorrow. Amanda versus Cancer, as she was known to all on TikTok. She had uterine cancer. Her mission was to encourage women to have their pap smears done. She was a role model to women and a speaker on the importance of feminine care. The cancer located in her uterus attached to her stomach and her bladder, so surgery was not possible. She fought like no other, and while she shared her story in pain and tears, she also shared her story with strength and courage. Amanda passed away 2 days before she was to come onto my show. I am so grateful to each and every one of you that came in tonight. I'm so grateful for every single guest that has been on my show in the past, and I'm thankful and grateful to the people that will come on in the future as long as I am here. But I want to quickly go around the room. We have about 4 minutes left. And thank you, Tish. Oh, Brian says, thank you, Tish, for reading our words. Was supposed to have surgery this morning, but it is a no. Oh, now next, Mom. Sorry. So quickly, I want to go around the room. And today, you guys all seem to be in such amazing, great places. I mean, as you guys have all shared, beautiful life in this room, beautiful energy, young and old. And I want to go around and just quickly, either in a sentence or a word, since it is the month of Thanksgiving being next week, if you could share what you're most grateful for or thankful for today. And I'm going to start with you, Armando.
I just want to say I'm grateful for our Lord Jesus Christ for loving me unconditionally and forgiving me of my sins. And I'm grateful for Bumble because what I did not get to add is when I was cursing God, when I said, if you can prove to me, that you can do miracles, I give myself to you. So I did. So my wife and I have been back in church for 12 years, and I now know what a relationship with Christ is.
Thank you.
So I'm so grateful for His love, and I'm grateful for my wife, Dolly.
Thank you.
My family, my friends, for all of you guys. I don't know you, but I love you. You're my family. And thank you, Tish, for letting me be on.
Of course. Absolutely. Thank you. All right, Greg. Got a couple of minutes.
I'm grateful for love, unconditional love with people, love with the planet, our existence. Love is at the core of everything in my life, and I'm grateful for that.
Thank you, Greg. Dolly?
I'm grateful for family. And right now, my father is on his journey towards the end of his life. And I'm so grateful that I get to share this time with him and be with him and really know this is a wonderful time of his life.
Yes.
And I get to share it with him.
Thank you, Dolly. Penny?
I'm thankful for, like he said, Jesus, Lord. I'm thankful for my friend Rowan helping me through everything that's going on at school, all of my friends, and all my family.
Excellent. Thank you, Penny. Christy?
I'm thankful for going to rehab, meeting your son that led me here, then to Dolly, who donated. I'm grateful for Dennis for sharing his story, Tristan. I'm grateful for Jeff, my fur babies, and Penny for sharing this incredible journey with me.
Thank you, Christy. Dennis?
I'm thankful for God's grace and mercy. I am thankful for my wife and just life in general.
Yes.
And
you,
so
thank you. Tristan?
Yeah, I'm thankful for God's faithfulness throughout my whole life. Yeah, and His grace.
Well, I appreciate every single one of you. I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's such an honor to have each and every one of you guys come in and share. And let me see here what this says. I know you have a lot of folks around you, but no, Tish and I are here. Brian says that he is grateful for God, who is always there. He's grateful for his wife and his 4 healthy kids. That's a great way to end the show. Hey, I am grateful for each and every one of you. I pray that you guys have a blessed and happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godly, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.